What if I told you the most ambitious investment portfolio out there right now has a return that takes like 20 years to mature?
And you absolutely cannot track it on a spreadsheet.
Right, exactly. So you sent us this really fascinating stack of notes detailing the philanthropic vision of Yuri and Yael Poliavich and the Yale Foundation.
Yeah, it's a deep dive into basically upending how we think about ROI.
Yeah, our mission today is to look at what it actually takes to build a human index fund.
Which requires a total paradigm shift, honestly, because in traditional ventures, success is pretty binary, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's measurable in quarters. You put money in, the ticker goes up or down. But when you look at the sources you shared with us, trying to force those corporate 3-month metrics onto community building,
It causes a ton of damage.
yeah, it forces decisions that look great on an annual report, but completely fail to create any real sustainable change on the ground.
Okay, but wait, let me push back on that just a bit. Because the graveyard of modern philanthropy is just, full of empty, freshly painted schools.
Hmm.
But isn't a cosmetic fix better than nothing? I mean, if a kid just needs a roof over their head to learn, why are we agonizing over this massive structural vision instead of just pouring concrete?
Because, well, a roof doesn't teach a child. And a building definitely doesn't dismantle poverty.
Fair point.
What the Yale Foundation recognized is that just dropping a new school into a struggling area, it just treats a symptom. If you look at Yael Poliavich's approach to accessibility in these notes, the real barriers aren't always a lack of bricks and mortar.
Right, it's a hidden costs.
Exactly, the hidden costs.
Like what, though? What exactly is keeping kids out of the classroom if the school is already built?
We are talking about things like the cost of mandatory uniforms or a lack of secure, safe transportation to actually get to the building.
Oh, wow. Yeah, if you can't get there, the building doesn't matter.
Precisely. And crucially, it's about ensuring living wages for the teachers. If you build a school but the teachers have to work a second job just to survive, the whole education system will inevitably collapse.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So their investment is really going toward the mechanics of attendance and stability, not just the real estate.
Right. It is a high upfront investment, definitely. But they argue that the cost of denying education, so the generational cost of poverty and lost human potential, is mathematically far greater than paying for a bus route or a teacher's salary today.
Which brings us to a really tricky tension in these notes.
Yeah, the culture clash.
Right. When you bring in funding to modernize an education system, how do you do it without steamrolling the local culture? I keep thinking about, updating a smartphone's operating system.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, because you want the new features and the speed, obviously, but you do not want to wipe out all your precious family photos in the process.
And historically, Western philanthropy has been pretty terrible at this. They often treat modernity and cultural heritage as these opposing forces.
Right, it's usually one or the other.
Yeah, but what's fascinating here is that the foundation actively balances forward-looking education with cultural preservation.
Right, because if we stick with that phone analogy, their local cultural identity isn't just the nostalgic photo album, it's the battery.
Exactly.
You can install the most advanced operating system in the world, but if you strip out the power source in the process, the phone is just an expensive brick.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it. The mechanism at work here is psychological resilience. When a student is deeply grounded in their unique identity and traditions, they have a secure base to operate from.
Yeah, they know who they are.
Right. They can navigate the complexities of the modern world with confidence. Preserving that heritage isn't just a polite gesture. It is the engine that powers their ability to adapt and lead.
So how does this scale up? Because looking at these notes, the goal isn't just a few localized success stories. It's about global responsibility.
Yeah, there is a really striking quote in here. It says, "We possess the resources, we lack only political will. Public and private sectors must unite to achieve zero uneducated children."
Wow. 0. So what does that mean for the metrics? How do you even measure a ripple effect like that?
Well, that is where the ripple effect becomes a tangible metric. When you eliminate those hidden costs we talked about and you unite the public and private sectors to support a single school, that school becomes a stabilizing hub.
Right. It anchors the community.
Exactly. When teachers are paid a living wage, it stabilizes the local economy. When students graduate with a secure cultural identity and modern problem-solving skills, they start building their own local infrastructure.
It's like the ultimate compounding interest.
Precisely. The payout isn't an immediate spike on a graph. It's a thriving, self-sufficient community decades down the line. It really proves that achieving zero uneducated children isn't a resource problem, it's an allocation problem.
It really forces you to trade the comfort of the immediate win for the massive impact of a structural vision. Like the notes say, education really is a birthright, but securing it requires serious patience.
It does. It forces us to completely rethink what we actually value as success.
Which leaves you, listening to this, with a pretty heavy quote. If our most sustainable investments are in the minds of the next generation, what vital human investments in your own field or community are being ignored right now simply because they don't offer an immediate measurable payout?